Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We are at 6135 Cheyenne Terrace here in West Linn, located at the back of the house. As you face the home from the street, or face the front door from the street anyway, we're about about a quarter of the way across the back if you work your way from the right side to the left. This little notched out spot here next to the hose bib. Got a 3-inch ABS clean out. We're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water is running. We are zeroed out. Off we go. And right out of the gate, pretty nice clean flow line there. Just a little bit of grease buildup, very minor. We'll see if it thickens up as we go here, but I mostly point that stuff out for the sake of educational purposes. I like people to see kind of what it looks like when you put a lot of cooking oil and grease down the line. It builds up, and it can build up very quickly. After doing almost 25,000 scopes at this point in my career and a lot of drain cleaning, it is a very, very common culprit in scenarios where blockages occur. So I was just about to mention it here before I got on my sidetrack there about grease. Little belly here. I was just about to say we're probably at the transition joint. There's the transition over to 3034 PVC. Extremely common location to get a belly. It's a tiny belly at that. And to boot, working in the favor of this line in particular, this line has a humongous amount of fall to it. It is just a sheer drop the entire way. So standing water like that has very little bearing on flow on your average flatter running sewer line. On a line like this, if you're blocking and backing up out of a belly that tiny, you are putting some wild and crazy things down your sewer line. It would take immense amounts of abuse to ever get there. So anyhow, we're gonna go do my darndest here to locate where the line terminates at. We're gonna try and get the line drained out as best we can, but we got a good gander at it there. Line drains off very nicely, aside from about a 2-foot spot that's probably gonna have maybe half inch of standing water left over. Alrighty, located the camera head successfully. So, my foot counter reset there for some odd reason. Anyway, it's 40 feet to the main there. Where the line terminates, the line essentially runs in a dead straight shot. And where I'm picking that locate up, I didn't go all the way down to the very bottom of that retaining wall. It's pretty tall. But my locate takes me right to the base of that. So it looks like the line traverses its way down this back hillside. And where you finally get down to the bottommost part there of the retaining wall where the ground flattens out, basically between that retaining wall and the chain link fence is where that main lateral's at. They've kind of got that, that looks like an easement area that's kind of been fenced in there. You've got one little tiny stringy thing here, although it just moved on its way. That's what I was hoping it was going to do, which is not indicative of roots. At first there, I'm like, you might have the world's tiniest root intrusion, but it moved right on its way there. It was just some debris, it looks like, caught at the joint. So you can get a little better view of this belly here. It's very, very minor. And I'll have to go back and review, but as far as the footage going out anyway, starts here at 13, and we pop out of it. It's barely a foot long. So you've got a 1-foot belly at the transition. And as you see, when I pull right back into the middle of it here, when I get my camera head flattened out, it's deceiving because a lot of that, like right now, my camera head's facing straight down. When I level it off here, you've got something like a ½ inch of standing water. It's a very tiny belly. Well, that is a long ways away from repair worthy there. I'm going to go ahead and start rolling back in. And it's an extremely common thing to see, especially with this configuration where you get a nosedive. And in a lot of cases, it's the sign of a lazy install when you get a nosedive and then the line levels off like that. It's a very common scenario to end up with a belly. In this case, this is one of the few scenarios where it's actually warranted to do that. There's no other way to get this line from A to B in such a short distance and to such a deep depth without doing it. Where it drives me really crazy is when you see that on a regular flat property going out to a street. But teeny little belly. And for reference, I don't even consider repairs until there's at least a 5-foot section of pipe with at least 1 inch of standing water. That's with no water running at all. What you have there is just teeny little thing. That would take some very, very severe abuse to ever get it to a point. Let's put it this way. If you're abusing your line hard enough to back up from that, I mean, that steep of a drop and a belly that tiny, you are going to back your line up 6 ways from Sunday long before you ever get there. So, a little bit of grease buildup going back in here, and some of that is because of the vertical fall. Grease, funny enough, it's kind of counterintuitive. It builds up more so on vertical drops because the water that is typically carrying it or helping to carry it, which is usually hot, starts to really outrun that grease buildup, or that grease in general. As the water moves away from it down those slopes, it doesn't have the problem of slowing down as it becomes cooler, where grease does. So when all that hot water leaves it behind on those hard vertical drops, because it's moving so quickly, it tends to build up a little more in those areas. But either way, at your worst point, that little layer there is maybe a 1/16 of an inch thick, and it's on a complete vertical drop. That's not the kind of stuff where I'm worried about you getting the line jetted out. If you had some really thick stuff there, it'd be a different story. But anyway, that's just a little fun sewer knowledge there for you. The steeper the slope, the more grease you get. Just keep it from going down the line. You can mitigate the buildup entirely. Relative to most homes, it's actually quite a clean sewer line here. We have good flow end to end. All the pipe we just scoped there is in good condition and intact. Again, the belly there, about 1 foot prior to the transition. Very minor, nothing that needs repairs by a long shot. Sewer line is functioning properly at this time.